What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for week 2 of building Ryloth. In this week, I'm going to be laying down the top layer of plate and begin working on the terrain a little bit, as well as marking out where I want the two cliffs to be. I'm probably also going to be making this MOC wider than it already is. I'm really not used to working with freeform. Typically, I build on a base plate, which gives me my dimensions that I build within. But with this MOC, I'm not 100% sure how wide I need it to be or how long it needs to be, so I'm still playing around with that a little bit. Hopefully that all makes sense. You guys will probably understand once we actually jump into the video itself. So without further ado, let's get building. I have all of the front edge work done, as you guys can see, and I must say I think it turned out fairly nicely. Might do a little bit of tinkering right here. I don't like this square edge, but you can see it transitions over here into brickwork very nicely. And same on this side. Got brickwork, and then it's going to run along right here, and then probably right here is where the cliff will start, and then I'll just be running straight brick because I don't want to have any of this kind of detailing right there, because technically that's inside of the canyon wall. Now that you guys have been brought up to speed with what's been happening with this MOC, I think what I'm going to do next is throw down the rest of the terrain, maybe make it a little bit bigger, and then we'll check back when I have more to update you with. First things first, you guys can probably obviously see I got everything plated down. All the filler brick is in, as well as this ring of dark tan brick and plate, which I put around the entire edge of the MOC. That way the filler brick and plate is safely concealed. But what is probably a little less obvious to everyone is this MOC is now wider than it was previously. As I was kind of mapping out where I wanted the canyon walls to be, I realized this was going to be kind of small and kind of squished, and I figured, look, this is a free-form MOC, like there's no point in having things small and squished, because if you want it bigger, you can just throw down more plate on any of the sides, on the back, and make it longer. So I decided to utilize that aspect of freeform building and to made it wider. That way this canyon area is going to be a bit bigger, and I just felt like overall there would be more space for everything. That aside, you guys might be wondering what this green is for, and this is going to be the inside of the canyon wall. I figured since nobody's going to see in here, it doesn't really matter what color the plate is. And a bonus of coloring the plate differently from the outside is this helps me see a rough outline of the shape of the cliff wall and where I want it to go. So you can see both of these are going to go fairly straight and then kind of wind their way outward as you come out into this more open plain area. So I think what I'm going to start doing now is throwing down some brick along the back here and maybe start along the rock work a little, but we do have a plot twist or a change of plans. As I was looking at this MOC yesterday, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had a vehicle in the MOC? So I thinking about using this ATTE and kind of putting it right here, just in this back part, because I thought it would be cool to have some kind of vehicle right there. That way you're not wondering like, okay, how did these clones and Obi-Wan get all the way out here? However, one thing that I am nervous about is that it's too large and it's going to dominate the MOC and not allow you to fully see and appreciate the small details, especially on the cliff faces. So another option, somebody suggested using a Republic fighter tank, which is another viable option. It's much smaller and it's much easier to see the rest of the MOC while still having a vehicle here. And our third option would be having one of my lovely Republic gunships right here. So let me know down in the comments. I would really appreciate your guys' feedback on which vehicle would look the best, or maybe you think no vehicle, because I am open to that option as well. That being said, that's pretty much up for this little update. So I'll start working on some more things and we'll probably check back one more time for this week's episode. Time for one last update before I end this week's episode. And not a whole lot of progress was made after the last one. All I did was run some brick along the back just to kind of get an idea of how much I'm going to need, as well as running a little bit of the slopes, mostly just trying to get the what the shape is going to look like. A lot of this will probably be torn up and redone so it looks much nicer. I might be keeping some of that because I think it turned out okay. And then down here I'm starting to do the terrain detailing. I'm not doing anything fancy, just kind of what I did with Umbara. Lots of 1x2s, 1x1 plates kind of spread out to make the terrain look a little rough. All in all, I think it's looking pretty good. Next week, we're going to tackle the cliffs and the walls, as well as probably finishing up some of the terrain, as well as maybe even starting on some of the trees. Anyways, let's go hit that outro. I hope you guys enjoyed this week of building Ryloth. I'm very excited to have all of the plate down and have the final dimensions of the MOC, because that means I can finally get started with the fun details and the cliffs. I wanted to take a break from building the larger MOCs and focus on something smaller that would give me more time to put in really cool details and techniques. So next week is going to be all about cool stuff like that, so you won't want to miss out. If you guys have any questions about this episode, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. I love chatting with you guys there. And if you like this video, don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up. And as always, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future content. But until next time, happy building.